Good afternoon. Thank you for the invite. Following on from the themes of the previous presentation, I am also from South Yorkshire Police. I'm seconded into counter-terrorism police in North East. I am the Prevent Inspector, so I manage a team that manages all the cases of individuals referred into Prevent within the South Yorkshire Force area. So similar themes as previous presentation around information sharing and what we do. It's really brief. I will be hanging around at the break, so I'll be sat in the back corner 3:15 for any questions if you want to come and ask or any advice and guidance. Just in terms of Prevent, we operate in the pre-criminal space. So again, completely different to normal policing roles where it's criminal justice investigation. We are pre-criminal, where we're looking at really early help for those that are deemed vulnerable to being drawn into terrorism. In terms of some legislation, so again, these are the terms you'll hear. So Prevent duty guidance is around the due regard that local authorities, education, health, police and criminal justice have to abide by in order to raise awareness around what is Prevent duty, signs to look out for, how to refer and what we are ultimately looking for. In terms of other bits of legislation, channel duty guidance, so the moment a referral lands with us, we are looking at whether it would meet the statutory requirements to go into channel, which is a multi-agency safeguarding arena, similar to MAPA, but based on different legislation around managing people's vulnerabilities or susceptibilities being drawn onto that pathway to terrorism. There's a couple of other bits of legislation that what's classed as a Counter-Terrorism Security Act 2015. So again, Section 26 just lists the authorities that have to pay this legislation due regard. Schedule 6 lists the authorities, so again, it just gives that legislative framework. And you'll hear Section 36.3 assessment. So that comes under the Counter-Terrorism Security Act, where my team are making an assessment as to whether an individual, whether there's reasonable grounds to believe they are vulnerable to being drawn into terrorism, i.e. going to become a terrorist at some point in the future. So it's quite a niche area of business where we are looking to stop terrorist offending. That does include non-violent terrorism offending. It does include online terrorism offences. So don't just think kind of Salman Abedi, that kind of terrorist, really severe. Think those that commit online offences or spread non-violent extremist measures that encourage others to conduct acts of terrorism ultimately. Again, Section 38 is legal gateway. So when we will come out to individuals, GPs, sounds like we're at dogs, the hair's running. So Section 38 legal gateway is we will come out to GPs potentially. Again, as the previous presentation, we're not asking for specific health details. We will be asking around mental health, medication. Again, as the previous presentation, we're looking for information that will impact on their vulnerabilities and their support. So again, we're not asking for specifics. And again, Schedule 7 lists the partners under channel duty guidance. So just on the next slide, this is where it refers into, just waiting for them to move on. There we go. Schedule 7. So again, whilst GPs are not explicitly listed under health and social care bodies, it does include NHS trusts and integrated care boards. And again, also, although it depends how directly you're involved, depending on how the NHS trust is set up within different local authorities. And although you're not named in Schedule 7, we would determine that, we might come to you because we're looking at somebody's vulnerability to be drawn into terrorism. So we're in that channel space, and while we're making an assessment for channel on that reasonable grounds to believe, so we might come out asking for information in support of that assessment. And ultimately, the bottom one is in terms of you're involved in safeguarding. So again, there is an expectation that if you have concerns that an individual might be drawn into terrorism, then you should really be referring to Prevent. And the slide will be shared, and I'll go through referral mechanisms briefly. Again, Prevent thresholds. So again, there's 6 thresholds. There's Home Office work going on with this. So again, when we talk about these thresholds, the first one is your referral into counter-terrorism policing. Once that's received, it goes into our intelligence arm that looks at are they relevant for pursue. So they're ultimately checking that it's suitable for Prevent to engage with his individual in the pre-criminal space. 3 and 4 is around our gateway assessment and thresholds, and we often hear lots of professionals talking around doesn't meet threshold for certain agencies, so I'm just going to briefly talk on that. Threshold 5 is channel adoption, so where we suggest it meets that legal definition of being in that multi-agency arena, and then threshold 6 is that exit and what happens there. In terms of threshold 3 and 4, so gateway assessments, I'm just going to move the slides on. So again, this is not an intrusive risk assessment. We are triaging cases. So again, police officers will be quite familiar with reasonable suspicion, reasonable grounds of belief. Suspicion is a lower burden of proof, so think 2.5 out of 10. Reasonable grounds to believe is 8.5, 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. So again, suspicion is lower, belief is higher burden of proof. So again, all we're looking for is the Prevent relevant issue. So reasonable suspicion, so really low bar, then we'll push it through into our next stage, which is information gathering. If we're satisfied there's a reasonable belief of no Prevent concern, then we'll exit at that stage, and we might come back to refer and say actually we've closed it to Prevent. That's the end of our involvement. Just on to the next slide. So again, you'll be thinking, well, what's Prevent relevant? If you're really interested in this and you've been listening to Southport Inquiry, if you go on to Tuesday 14th of October, the PM session where Vicky Evans speaks, who's the Senior National Coordinator, the barristers ask around Prevent relevancy. And though it's an official sensitive document which I can't share, if you go onto YouTube and watch this video, you'll see it. So figure that out. But if you want to understand Prevent relevancy and what we're assessing fully, it's all in that. But again, this is what we're looking for really, those that are expressing support for extremist organisations. So I think somebody thinks ISIS are really good, or National Action. We would be concerned around that individual. They might be being influenced, let's say, online from groups such as Murder's Maniac Cult or Telegram. Again, they're prescribed organisations. And again, people who are sharing extremist material. So if somebody's suggesting they're sharing ISIS propaganda. So again, these are some of the key themes we're looking for when we get these referrals. And the next slide, again, some more things that Prevent relevant. Again, this is not exhaustive, but again, mass murder, and there's been a lot around Southport, Axel Ruddy-Cabana, does that sit in Prevent, does it not? But again, it is Prevent relevant. So again, if somebody's suggesting they're going to go out and commit a mass casualty attack, we'd be interested in that in the first stages. Again, downloading unlawful material. Fanatical obsession with, let's say, somebody like Osama bin Laden or Hitler, and again, planning to travel to places like Syria where they're going to meet terrorists ultimately, not just for a family holiday. So again, there's some Prevent relevancy. Ideology, again, a really hot topic. You've got William Shawcross report saying ideology are really important for Prevent. You've got Lord Anderson saying it's not so important. So again, we're not asking you to understand ideology. It's really complex. What we're asking you to look at is, do you think an individual is on a pathway to becoming a terrorist? It's a really tough question. And a lot of the government Home Office will say, if in doubt, refer into us. But again, we would explore that, ask some questions, spider sensors. Do you really think they're going to become a terrorist? Lots of people, unfortunately, have really abhorrent views. Doesn't make them that they're going to become a terrorist. But again, if you're not happy, then please speak to us or refer in. We won't ever turn a referral away, but again, that's what we're working towards ultimately, to stop somebody becoming a terrorist. As I said, information gathering. So again, once we progress it, we will send out lots of requests to various agencies, social care, health, education, so we might come asking for information. And as in the previous presentation, we are looking for specifics that will aid our assessment process around mental health, medication, any sort of onward support they've been having, any sort of interaction. So we might ask some questions, and that is under, as I said, Section 38 under Counter-Terrorism Acts, and obviously Section 36.3, as I've said, is we are making this threshold assessment as to whether we think there's reasonable grounds to believe. Next slide. So again, real brief whistle-stop tour around what is Prevent, how to refer into us. Ultimately, there's National Prevent Referral Form. That is the approved mechanism by the Home Office. That gets sent into us. The reason we ask for that is it's quite in-depth, so ask lots of questions. So ultimately, we're not going to be coming back to you asking for fill in the gaps if you fill that form in. If you search how to make a prevent referral, single online home will come up where you can report into a police force. That will come direct to us, and also the anti-terror hotline. Our generic mailbox is on there, our office hours. We're quite happy to share the slides. So, as I said, any questions, feel free to ring, feel free to email, and I will be hanging around for half an hour break for any questions for any individuals. Thank you very much.